You know what's funny? I had this thought the other day. It's like, dang, they lied to us about all of these things, and then for the people who still believe in the system, and they're like, you don't think they're lying about this thing too? Like, so they like you believe they lied about everything else except this thing.
And you don't believe in the moon landing. You don't believe, that you believe that Kennedy got shot by somebody who
Yeah,
didn't get shot by. You think 9/11 was,
inside job.
yeah, out that the people from another country came in and just did that. You believe all of those things. Why not accumulate all of that evidence and then apply it to whatever you're hearing and say, should I believe you?
I have to say this because there's a ton of energy harvesting going on right now. If you don't want to get got, don't put all your emotions, don't put all of your attention is energy, on something A, that you don't have control on, or B, that's low vibe and makes you angry, mad, or fearful. When you do this, you're not only giving your energy away, you're feeding the collective consciousness of fear, anger, and hate and hostility. Instead, we need to be putting our attention on things like love, peace, unity, joy, something that's going to actually help and impact the collective. There is always going to be something going on in the news. Last week it was something else, next week it'll be something else, but guaranteed you will always have a chance to be sucked into the drama, to be fearful, to be hateful, to be polarizing, pick a side. But through that, you have to decide what you care about more, the well being of humanity or being on the right side of things.
Welcome to Call for the Truth. I am Lota of the Sun, and this is Tavares of the Sun, and we are here today to invite you to join us in a discussion about our emotional proclivities.
Let's talk about them proclivities. But first, Tavares, will you call for the truth? Yes, I will.
Thank you,
And
Tavares.
then we'll speak about proclivities. If you all are tuning in with us, we invite you to call in the frequency of truth with us. Shall we call forth the frequency of truth? Shall we call to see the truth in all that we see? Shall we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Shall we call to speak the truth, calling forth the courage to speak the truth? Shall we call forth nothing less than the truth to come forward into our experience? And we are here in the truth. If you want to continue the pursuit of truth with us, click the like, subscribe, that bell notification that lets the AI algorithm know that you like this and other people need to hear this. So back to those proclivities. But more so, okay, so for those who want to know what is these proclivities in which they speak of, we had this case study with one of our clients who mentioned that they had you may have to adjust the language, but this intense hatred for another person. And really, the idea that we're looking to explore is the energetic bond and connection with something like hate, and where the person who feels hate thinks they're doing one thing, primarily that my hate's gonna negatively impact them, it's gonna hurt them, but there's other things that are taking place that they may not be aware of.
Yes, this is a tool, a technology, an energy technology in play in the opposite of exaltation. So, although it works when you love someone intensely as well, but if we would look at the macro of an idea like that, if we find ourselves living in a world where people are polarized about a person, a government, behavior, a war, a variety of different things, and the majority of the people rise up and say, we don't like you. We don't like what you're doing. We are against you. And then the recipient of that, because the people think that, they think that the recipient will then be quieted and be put down. But energetically, sometimes these things are manufactured so that the whole global landscape can then be used to harvest energy to be converted into energy for the ones who are doing the thing that nobody likes.
So let's take it
Did
back.
I
That
lose anybody?
I think that no, I think that's beautiful because it's showing you done scaled it up real quick, rapidly, where we have on the one-on-one peer-to-peer experience, we think that hatred, envy, whatever that anger emotion is, it's doing something, but actually there are people who want you to react that way, to harvest the energy, to utilize it. And so it's not doing what we think it's doing. Matter of
No.
fact, we're being parasited on through our low vibrational behavior.
It is not unusual for when there's a football game for there to be a harvesting taking place
Correct. Yeah.
of the energy, of the cheers and the
Yeah.
no, not that team. No, this
Even I think about music festivals and
all of these kinds of
events.
things. This is not uncommon for those who understand how energy works and those who are energy harvesters to take the energy and convert it into useful fuel for whatever they want to do. The same thing happens on our political stages and the war stages, and it has always happened. This is ancient and current. So often, when people gather together, large groups of people, they cultivate them, they go out, they talk to them over and over again, they're cheering. And this is an opportunity for those who harvest that kind of energy and convert it to their own purposes. The same thing happens in war. Pain and suffering are converted into useful energy. Death is converted into useful energy. It is not unknown that the American Indians may have been a sacrifice, as well as the African slaves, to satisfy some of those kinds of harvesting ideas to fuel other global movements in their day. And we see the same thing is happening, but it also happens at the micro level as well as the macro level. The difference is that at the micro level, when a person holds on to their partner and then we're divorced and they hate the person, or that they're resentful or they're jealous, that not only, if depending on what the person's disposition is, because at that level it's simple mind control. At that level, the person could become weakened, or the person may be immune to it and you get sick. The person who holds the hate then is the beneficiary of that. So it works differently depending on who it's directed to and what their clarity is, because in all sense of mind control, which is often what people think of as curses and spells, is really just mind control, whether it's governmental mind control or it's a woman lives in the house on the hill kind of mind control, whatever it is, the if the person is immune to it because they do not accept it, like I do not accept negative to come into and influence me and do anything with me, then the energy then must return to the sender automatically, which is also law in our universe. It's the way kung fu works. Give me your energy and I think I'll rev it up a little and send it back to you. So it's the way that ancient Asian martial arts works.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
Judo.
way that love works also, and the way, if a person is not allowing for negative to interfere with them, negative does not have power or authority over them to do so. So this is something that people grow into understanding. But in the macro, in a world where there's so many people who are revved up about any particular political or social or religious movement, their hatred or their positive energy towards it then becomes energy available that they have loosened from themselves that now is in the atmosphere to be harvested.
All right, so this is deep because we're fluxing between micro and macro. There's a phrase that you've said in the past where a person's hate binds and ties them to another.
Yes.
And I can see that happening, but this component of the person who they're binded to is in actuality harvesting it, and in some cases, many cases actually, is the perpetuator of the negativity so that
Aha.
they can utilize that. There's a level of intelligence behind, oh, I want them to do this so that I can do something
Well,
with it.
now we're talking about global matters.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about those who incite others to hate them for their own goals so that they may gain enough energy and influence to use on their own behalf for their own purposes.
Most certainly.
So the one who hates them is now tied to them. So they're not going to stop hating them on Tuesday.
Hmm.
They're going to keep hating them as long as they
Yeah, they
live.
plugged in
Yeah.
now. They're
Yes,
getting juice up off of you
that's
because
right.
your hate is 24/7. Anytime you see their
So on both
name, it's
sides,
just
it's
mhm.
on both sides. The person who has risen to the level of the emotion of hate is so invested that they're not going to just turn it off.
Mm.
And then the person who gets it, who receives it, depending on what their understanding of how to work with energy is, depends on how it lands, where
Yeah.
it can be converted into useful energy to catapult them into further atrocities.
So not every person who's on the micro level has this clarity. There are some, and the example that comes to mind is when people say, "Yeah, hate on hater, you just made me greater." There's
Yes,
there's something to that they understand this
that
mechanic is
is
playing out.
actually a truth. That is actually true if you understand it that way, but it is all based on your understanding.
Yes.
If you don't understand it that way, then you may fall victim to what happens to people who don't have the clarity of how energy works, where they are sickened or saddened or unhappy or start to deconstruct.
So what does this say about groups of people who are herded and compelled to emote and broadcast low level vibrational emotions? Like, for example, I think about the news. The news broadcasts certain events to make you feel some type of way, updates regarding politicians, other countries, etc. And clearly, there's a reason behind that, which you've articulated. But what does that say about the individual on the other end who's watching this and who's getting revved up with anger with what they're seeing, or sadness and depression, or whatever that emotion may be?
So you're asking what is the disposition of the ignorant?
Well, yeah, with the ignorant, the person, because I'm looking at it like, damn, they don't understand that they are being used or puppeted.
Slavery has never stopped. This is a new iteration of it. And it has been written about in 1984 and all of the futuristic books that were written back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. This is the new form of slavery. We have been investigated. We know science knows how the brain works. What the brain hears repeatedly over and over and over again, it believes, unless there's a caveat. If someone says to you, you're unattractive 5,000 times, you will likely believe yourself to be unattractive, unless every time they say it, it's like you're a liar.
Yeah,
So,
consciously rejected.
and so that's really the solution. That's at the same time the solution.
To consciously be in rejection of feeling some type of way that would tie me to, or us, the
Yes.
collective, to a person or an idea.
So you'd have to insert the opposite thought. And the opposite thought would be, this is not the truth. You are a liar. And eventually, if you keep saying that, you'll turn off listening to it because you will no longer be connected frequency wise to the lies that are being spoken that you understand to be lies. But in terms of the masses of the millions of people who hear it, and often people hear it while they're in the kitchen washing dishes, they're hearing it subconsciously.
Hmm.
They're not hearing it consciously. So they're not consciously available to dismantle it. In the same way that if you were living with someone who was abusive to you in language, was speaking abusively to you, you would, in your head or out loud, reject everything they say every time so that you don't become uh, caught up in the belief that what they're saying is real. So there's a solution to this. The mass solution would be to turn your face away from the dialogue that is influencing you, not in your highest and best interest.
You answer my question. I'm going to state the question, just reverse engineer it, but it was for the people who see things happening in the media, see things happening with government, politicians, countries, and they don't like what they see, this is our solution. Turn it
Yes.
off.
So, and also, I mean, we need to know what's going on, but you're not going to get it from people who are not telling you the truth.
That's something to consider.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's funny. I had this thought the other day. It's like, dang, they lied to us about all of these things. And then for the people who still believe in the system, they're like, you don't think they're lying about this thing too? Like, so they you believe they lied about everything else except this thing.
And you don't believe in the moon landing. You don't believe, that you believe that Kennedy got shot by somebody who
Yeah,
didn't get shot by. You think 9/11 was,
inside job.
yeah, out that the people from another country came in and just did that. You believe all of those things. Why not accumulate all of that evidence and then apply it to whatever you're hearing and say, should I believe you? More, the idea would be to make yourself powerful enough, to make yourself sovereign enough that you figure out how you can manage yourself, whether what they're saying is true or not.
Every financial crisis has one winner. It's not crypto, it's not stocks, it's not real estate, it's gold. In every financial crisis, there's one asset that always comes out on top. Not because it skyrockets overnight, but because it never dies. Stocks crash, currencies collapse, property markets freeze, but gold, it keeps buying the same value as it did 100 years ago. Look at history. 1929, 1971, 2008. The people holding gold weren't panicking. They were shopping. They had liquidity when everyone else was broke. The winner in a crisis isn't the one with the most cash. It's the one holding what cash runs to when it's scared. When the next crisis hits, you'll either watch your savings melt or you'll be the one buying gold at a discount.
I want to speak on this from the perspective of the listener who feels invested and thinks it's appropriate to be angry. Like, so for example, there's things that we see that's happening in terms of laws that are passing, injustices that are happening across the country. And so there's, let's say, like a righteous indignation that arises. What do you say to those people who are like, but how do I feel about what I'm seeing? Even though this is not right or correct, like what am I supposed to feel?
Oh,
Because if not angry, like I'm supposed to feel happy about it. I'm sure
it's-
people who don't understand these concepts are wondering these things.
you're supposed to be inspired to not be a victim of it. That just because that's what it looks like, or just because they say you have to do it, or just because they say that you're going to be penalized, or just because they say something's going to happen, because of it, you have to have already decided that you are the answer to your dilemma.
Oh,
And you and other like minded people, and gather your tribe, gather your clan, gather your group together so that you can unanimously drink, eat, breathe, and live, and your children, no matter what they say.
so you over here passing out big boy and big girl pants. Take one, pass it down.
Yeah, I mean, being angry may feel like you're doing something until the adrenaline leaves,
Yeah.
but it is hard to be sustain something that doesn't have any responsibility in it.
You know, it's funny when you hearing you say that. What comes to mind is the idea of protesting, where protesting is a great example of all of this anger directed in what's the result or the outcome.
Yeah.
Usually, specifically geared towards corporations, and the corporations are still doing what they're still putting the chemicals and the toxins in. You wasted several hours and lost your voice, and probably property damage that has happened. But here we are, still in the position we're in.
Well, it's kind of amusing now because corporations are now the ones who are renting a riot.
Yeah, rent a riot,
So
crisis actors.
so crisis actors are being paid to go be in crisis in front of the cameras
Yeah,
and be indignant
I know.
without necessarily knowing what the topic is.
Yeah, like, what are you
So
breaking into the museum? What the museum did? This is the art museum. We mad at them, not the museum. Like, I literally saw that in a video.
so so when you think about, it has its value to rev up emotions,
Yes.
but does it actually change anything?
No, I have not seen.
And has it changed
anything.
even the ones who are paid to be in the crisis and the acting? And how many people are really sitting home with their popcorn, like, well, look at those actors. Look at them. They're really upset at that art museum.
Right.
you know? And so it is now being even that idea, which had some level of righteous indignation to it, has now been, confiscated, and it is being used to again sway the masses into being angry and be in accord with whatever the mob said.
Oh my gosh, I
You know,
just had this thought of how um, like these psyops that happen where these things are designed to get us to respond in a certain way so certain laws can be implemented. So it's again making me see how, people want you to be angry. People need you
because
to,
the power of your anger gives them the power to legislate. It gives them the power to move forward. It gives them the fuel. Now they can send out the this or they can send out the that and they can release the Kraken and, you
yeah,
know.
give them justification. Matter of fact, we in today. We not going out. We not doing nothing. Matter of fact, we're not even, don't give it energy. But you were saying earlier, it's important to have awareness, but uh, again, I'm looking at it from the emotional, energetic bond. Because what you were saying about how like your hatred or what you focus on, you actually shared this in the past to me that really is life changing. What you give attention to, you animate.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When you look into the eyes of your lover and you animate the energy that passes between you, that works on all levels. you,
Yeah.
when you're looking and engaging in the thing that infuriates you, the energy that passes between you ignites that energy of hatred.
Oh my gosh, I'm thinking of there's so many like practical examples. I want to give some more. And we had a neighbor who was like this, where we would just bump his stereo and his car music and just slowly roll down the street to create disturbance through the music.
Because he
And
understood the principle of energy.
yes,
He understood that if he could make enough noise, that it would annoy enough people where he could gather up the annoyance and use it as fuel and power for
yeah,
his work.
yes.
And he was in the music business.
hmm
It's not, it's just the way energy works.
And but I
And
also
those who know do it, and they do it in a variety of ways, like making noise is one way that people do it.
yeah, and I can even see it happening on a smaller scale between like siblings. Like I'm gonna annoy you until I get your attention and your energy, but if I ignore it, you get nothing. And you're just kind of like a clown, a buffoon, and like it's even more of an irritant because it's not working. It's like I'm not gaining anything. It's just me now.
It's like
But
when
they
your
need the
mother
others'
said,
participation.
look the other way. It's okay if he's staring at
It's
you.
like, but mom, and they're like, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching. Well, he's looking at me. Did he touch you? No. Okay then. Look out the window. Look out the window. Sounds like a true story, right? I think it's universal though.
Yes, it's actually the same way with lovers.
Oh
It's
god.
exactly the same way with lovers. It's like, he keeps bothering me. He keeps coming in my house. He keeps calling me up. He keeps texting me. Look the other
Yeah.
way.
Stop. Stop opening the messages. Stop listening to the voicemails. Just stop, because I can see where all of that
The
level of
energy
engagement,
gives
they're
the
getting something.
energy. If there's energy that's exchanged, the way energy works is no matter what it is, there's an exchange of energy if you engage.
What I think is fascinating is how some people really will settle for the crumbs.
Oh no,
Because
that's what
I'm seeing that in my reality in varying levels and
it's
degrees. I was like,
because
ooh, look at you trying to get crumbs.
yeah, because the masters have got the brooms and the shovels.
Yeah, yeah, he's sitting at the dinner table and you just I get some scraps.
And there are many secret societies who just get the scraps
Oh, then even those groups are getting
on
scraps.
purpose. They're like, come on into the hospital, go on into the
Yeah,
churches.
that's suffering.
Yeah, make sure you people are suffering. Make sure that you pay attention to that so you know where the crumbs are.
Okay.
And so an obvious way out of that would be to choose not to suffer.
I think that's massive, where it that feels like a very balanced understanding where you are seeing things but you're not suffering. Like there's people who's like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening to so and so in this state or in this country?" and
I
then
hate you, I hate you, I hate you.
suffer right along with, more like when they see atrocities happening and then they completely drop in frequency and they lose themselves. And I see where we cannot, that's not being of service. That does not help those who are suffering.
However, often there are campaigns developed to make people, incite people to the atrocities so that the ones who are doing the atrocities will gain the attention that can be converted into useful energy for them to continue to fuel their campaigns. So there is that.
This is major. I think this is so needed for the time that we're in because at the end of the day, energy is the most valuable commodity out here. Our
And
attention.
everything is fueled with something, everything
Yeah.
is eating something. So maybe large cultural movements in countries are eating your thoughts and using it to fuel themselves.
I think so. This gives rise to so many other ideas, like the idea of the egregore, the morphic fields, and how these things they operate in such a way and almost demand the thoughts and the behaviors to keep them alive, and whoever's working in tandem with these things that created them for those purposes.
There's so many side effects. You become very calcified, you become very narrow, you're
Yeah.
single focused, you can't sleep at night, you're tossing and turning, being concerned about things that you are feeding you're actually feeding your energy into without your knowledge, and that is continuing to fuel the thing that you think that you are against.
That's wow. As you give the example, I see where the person who's like, this is all this on their mind, they're hyper focused, and it's almost like entity attachment, or like do the thing they need you to emote what they need as a fuel source.
Yeah.
It's so clear though. It's like
It,
visceral. We done went over I don't know how many examples, but it's in many parts of our
It
experience as
is so
humans.
important to monitor your thoughts, monitor your emotions for the highest possible vibration, the greatest frequency. Be in laughter, be in joy, be above misery and suffering.
I want to share something that you share with me about one of your children who his partner was attempting to control him, and he said, "You're not the boss of me." Like this is a grown man saying this, in how the aggression fell flat.
Yes.
Like you can't do anything with somebody who's in a higher state or is not willing to drop down there with you.
Yes,
Play that
that in
game.
that example, I was visiting and watching the aspect of someone wanting to control another. And so I'm just kind of watching it to see what's happening. And he turned around to her and cheerfully said, "You are not the boss of me. You are not the boss." And it collapsed the whole dynamic. And uh, it's something I would recommend. See the light in it. See how humorous it is. See how ridiculous it is to participate in it, and you don't have to be disrespectful or out of order. Just have to not let them take from you what you are not willing to give them.
Mm,
Like they can't have control if you don't give it to them,
yeah.
but if you give it to them, then they got it. So thank you for that
Yeah.
remembrance.
And thanks for that last bit because I feel like that last bit helps give our listeners understanding of what's really happening. What
Yes.
are we giving them? What are we giving up in that process of being angry and upset
Yes,
and trying to control?
it's all a psyop,
Mm,
and you can look through history to see how much so it is.
yeah. It's like it has been the same plan over and over. I know. Let's divert their attention, harvest their energy. That's all we know.
Yeah. That's exactly the case. So we thank you for joining us. We hope you'll come and join us again. Before we go, we'd like to have Tavares call for the truth. And will you tell us what is your question?
I just paused because I'm like, how do we? I want it to be regarding today's topic, and to kind of narrow this down is more so.
And what is it that should happen with humanity as relates to this idea of being victim to the psyops that are all around us and have always been? This is really an ancient psyop. This is not even a new one. This is an old one.
Yes.
And the card is
Self-sabotage, solar plexus. The maxim reads, let go. It is not necessary to have an extended stay at the scene of your self-inflicted crime.
Oh my goodness.
Allow yourself to let go. I'll read this one more time, louder for the people in the back.
All right.
Allow yourself to let go, reflect, and reconcile. Release what does not serve you. One more time for the people in the back. Let go. It is not necessary to have an extended stay at the scene of your self-inflicted crime. Allow yourself to let go, reflect, and reconcile. Release what does not serve you.
Yes, it's excellent. Thank you so much. We thank you for joining us. We give you the greetings of In Lacash and Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude. Until next time, thank you.